Sophie Cunningham goes off on Caitlin Clark haters, shuts down the jealousy.
Why does everybody hate Caitlin Clark? And do you hate Caitlin Clark? Come on, talk
dude.
to me.
Absolutely not. I think that she's a gem. I didn't know her, but All-Star Weekend, we kind of bantered back and forth a little bit. And she's lovely. She has a lot of pressure on her shoulders. And I think a lot of people always have a lot to say with people they don't even know or shoes they've never been in. I think the physicality and all that they're going to get used to. But I think especially Caitlin Clark, she's been killing it. And I'm a huge fan, and I never say that.
Caitlin Clark has been the most talked about player in women's basketball, but not everyone has been on her side until now. Sophie Cunningham just silenced the critics and showed Clark the respect she truly deserves in a recent interview, and fans are absolutely loving it.
It feels almost, it's not hate, but is it jealousy? Is it envy? Is it just like, what is it?
Yeah, I see both sides. I'm not an extremist in any way.
Yeah.
And so I like to see both sides of each party. I think when you have older people in the league, they work their tails off and they didn't get the recognition. They don't get paid millions of dollars before they even step on the court. You know what I mean? And for them, it's all about, okay, well, what are your stats? What are you doing for the actual game? While you're playing.
Yeah.
And then for them, this is amazing for women's basketball. This is amazing for women's sports in general. You have so many people, so many new and fresh eyes on our sport that maybe they're a little uneducated and maybe they kind of stir the pot a little bit.
While some WNBA veterans have been distant or even dismissive toward Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham is taking a completely different approach. Instead of joining the critics, she's standing by Clark, praising her talent, and calling out the jealousy fueling the negativity. But why is Cunningham defending Clark now? And how did she expose the real reason some players just can't handle her success? Stay tuned, because things just got real. Sophie Cunningham has never been one to hold back, and in her latest interview, she didn't just compliment Caitlin Clark. She went all in, defending her like never before. At a time when certain WNBA players are taking subtle shots, rolling their eyes, or downplaying Clark's impact, Cunningham is making one thing crystal clear. Clark deserves every bit of recognition she's getting, and honestly, it's refreshing to hear. Clark has been under a microscope since the moment she stepped onto a college court. Every shot, every assist, every reaction, analyzed, debated, and often used against her. When she plays well, she's labeled a volume scorer. When she struggles, critics call her overrated. And even when she makes history, some would rather focus on what she supposedly lacks rather than acknowledge what she does better than almost anyone in the game right now.
Was traded to the Indiana Fever for NaLyssa Smith and a pick. Sophie honestly has a similar game to Lexi Hall. She is a tall guard who can shoot the three. She is nasty on defense. What I love about her is she brings this kind of spark and energy to the court. She is very feisty. She is not scared to go after it. And I feel like, will also act as an enforcer on this team. But Sophie is someone also, if you guys remember back at WNBA All-Star, there was this clip that was going viral where Sophie grabbed Caitlin and was like, hey, do you want to come to Phoenix? And she has been very vocal in the media that she loves Caitlin Clark's game and she would love to play with her at some point. And so I just feel like she is going to be a great fit for this team. She is going to be able to add more space to the...
Sophie Cunningham isn't here for the negativity. She sees right through the nonsense, and instead of staying silent, she's speaking up. She knows Caitlin Clark isn't just another rookie, she's the future of the WNBA. Instead of tearing her down, people should be lifting her up. But that's not what's happening. In a recent interview, Cunningham made one thing crystal clear. The jealousy surrounding Clark is real. She didn't sugarcoat it. She flat out said that if someone has a problem with the attention Clark is bringing to the game, they're either failing to take advantage of it or just straight up jealous. That's a bold statement, but let's be honest. It's 100% true. Clark's impact on the WNBA is undeniable. The league is seeing record-breaking viewership, packed arenas, and a level of excitement that hasn't been felt before. And yet, instead of celebrating it, some players and media personalities seem more interested in downplaying it. Instead of embracing the fresh energy Clark is bringing, they act like she hasn't earned her place. Cunningham isn't having it. She understands the bigger picture. Clark's success isn't just good for her. It's good for the entire league. More attention means more money, bigger contracts, and new opportunities for every player in the WNBA. And yet some still can't seem to let go of their resentment. She also pointed out something crucial. Clark is handling the pressure better than most could ever imagine. From college to the pros, she's had the weight of an entire sport on her shoulders, and she's still delivering at an elite level. She's not cracking, she's thriving. She's showing up, putting in the work, and giving everything to the game. That's exactly why Cunningham respects her. She's seen what Clark is capable of, and instead of acting like she's just another rookie, she's recognizing her for what she truly is, a game changer. And in her interview, Cunningham didn't hold back. She made it clear that the negativity Clark is facing isn't really about basketball. It's about something else, jealousy. It's no secret that WNBA players have fought for years to bring more attention to the league. Many had to grind for even a fraction of the recognition Clark is getting right now. That frustration is understandable, but blaming Clark for it, that's not. Cunningham gets it. Clark's rise doesn't erase the struggles of past players. If anything, it makes their efforts even more meaningful. The growth the WNBA is experiencing today wouldn't be possible without those who came before, but now Clark is taking things to the next level, and instead of being bitter, players should be embracing the fact that the league is finally getting the respect it deserves. This isn't just about Cunningham defending Clark, it's about changing the way greatness is viewed in women's basketball. The double standards are obvious. If a male rookie came into the NBA, broke records, led the league in viewership, and changed the game overnight, he'd be celebrated as the next big thing. No one would be trying to downplay his success. He wouldn't be told to wait his turn or that he doesn't deserve the spotlight. But because Clark is doing it in the WNBA, some people can't handle it. Instead of recognizing how huge this moment is for the league, they're stuck in outdated mindsets that don't help anyone. Cunningham sees through all of that. She knows Clark's success benefits everyone, which is why she didn't hesitate to say she'd love to play alongside her. And now, her words carry even more weight because she's actually joining Clark in Indiana. She's not just talking about it, she's about to experience it firsthand. While some players clearly weren't on board with Clark leading the Fever, Cunningham is fully embracing it. This is a huge shift for Indiana because let's be real, the team's chemistry last season was a mess. From Nalissa Smith's passive-aggressive attitude to the overall lack of leadership, there was an obvious disconnect. Some players didn't want Clark there, and they made it known through their actions. That's exactly why Smith is gone. The Fever didn't just trade her for basketball reasons. They moved her because she didn't fit the new vision of the team. They cut out the drama, the negativity, and the resistance to change. And in doing so, they opened the door for players like Cunningham, players who actually want to be there. This is what makes this moment so exciting. The Fever aren't just adding talent, they're building a team with the right mindset. They're surrounding Caitlin Clark with players who believe in her, not ones who secretly resent her success. They're creating a culture that's about winning, growth, and embracing a new era for the franchise. Sophie Cunningham isn't coming in as just another teammate who tolerates Clark. She's stepping in as someone who champions her. She brings the toughness, leadership, and competitive fire that Indiana desperately needed. She's not afraid to speak her mind, and she's definitely not afraid to stand up for her teammates. While some players are still sitting on the sidelines, hesitant to embrace this shift, Cunningham is diving in head first. She's all in on Clark, all in on the Fever, and all in on what this team is building. And for fans, that's exactly the kind of player you want on your squad. Someone who isn't bitter about another player's rise, but sees it as an opportunity to win, to grow, and to elevate the game together. But Cunningham's words weren't just about praising Clark. They were about calling out the toxic mindset that's been holding the league back, and she's right. If you're not capitalizing on this moment, you're missing out. If you're more focused on being mad that Clark is the face of the league than on what that means for the sport as a whole, you're wasting your energy. Clark isn't the problem. The problem is the people who refuse to move forward. Cunningham understands this better than most, and that's why she's thriving while others are struggling to adjust. This is a defining moment for the WNBA. Players have a choice: support the game's growth or get left behind. Cunningham has made her choice. She's all in on the future, and if her words mean anything, she's about to become one of Clark's biggest allies as the Fever chase greatness. Sophie Cunningham stepping up for Caitlin Clark isn't just a random endorsement. It's a major shift in how this conversation is unfolding. For months, we've seen a clear divide in the WNBA. Some players have welcomed Clark with open arms, while others have been passive-aggressive, dismissive, or outright cold toward her. That's exactly why Cunningham's comments matter. She's not just acknowledging Clark's greatness, she's calling out the jealousy, the negativity, and the pettiness that's been hanging over this conversation. And honestly, it's refreshing to hear a veteran speak the truth instead of tiptoeing around the issue. But Cunningham's defense of Clark goes beyond basketball. she's recognizing something even more impressive. Clark is handling an insane level of pressure better than most athletes ever could. The expectations on Clark aren't normal. She's not just a top rookie, she's been positioned as the face of an entire sport before even stepping on a WNBA court. That kind of pressure can break players. We've seen it happen in both men's and women's sports. The hype becomes overwhelming and suddenly the weight of it all crushes them. But Clark, she's built different. She's embracing the moment, leaning into the pressure, and proving every single night why she deserves all the recognition she's getting. That's what Cunningham respects. She doesn't just see an elite player, she sees someone handling a situation no other WNBA rookie has ever faced. Because here's the truth, no one has entered the league with this level of attention. Sure, there have been legendary prospects before, Breanna Stewart, Diana Taurasi, Sabrina Ionescu, but none of them faced what Clark is dealing with right now. The WNBA has never had a rookie generate this level of media buzz, sell out arenas, and dominate national headlines before. And for some players, that's frustrating. They had to grind for years just to get a fraction of the recognition Clark is getting. They played in half-empty arenas, fought for better pay, and struggled for media coverage, only to now see Clark come in and instantly elevate the league to new heights. Cunningham understands that frustration. She even admitted that some veteran players feel left out of the conversation because they never got this level of shine when they entered the league. But what separates Cunningham from some of the other voices in the WNBA? She doesn't let that frustration turn into resentment. Instead of being bitter, she's grateful. She recognizes that Clark isn't just changing the game for herself, she's changing it for everyone. That's the difference. While some players are stuck in an old-school mindset, acting like Clark is taking something away from them, Cunningham gets the bigger picture. Clark's success benefits every single player in the league. More viewership, bigger contracts, higher ticket sales, better salaries, more sponsorships, more opportunities for all WNBA players. That's why the negativity surrounding Clark makes no sense. And Cunningham straight up said it. If you have something bad to say about what Clark is doing for the WNBA, you're either missing the moment or you're just jealous. And let's be real, a lot of players are missing the moment. Instead of recognizing that Clark is opening doors for everyone, they're too caught up in the past. They're acting like she doesn't belong, like she hasn't earned her spot. They talk about Caitlin Clark as if she's just another overhyped college star, not one of the greatest offensive players women's basketball has ever seen. But that mindset, it's completely disconnected from reality. Clark isn't just a great player, she's a generational talent. She's not just breaking records, she's redefining what's possible in the women's game. She's not just bringing in new fans, she's changing how people engage with the WNBA as a whole. And Sophie Cunningham sees that. Instead of tearing Clark down, she's embracing it. Now, she's not just supporting Clark from a distance, she's going to be playing alongside her in Indiana. And that changes everything. For months, there's been a clear divide in the Fever locker room. Some players never fully accepted Clark's arrival, whether it was through their body language, passive-aggressive social media posts, or just ignoring her impact altogether. One of those players, Nalissa Smith. Smith wasn't just a bad fit for the Fever on the court, she was a bad fit off the court too. She never showed real support for Clark. She wasn't the type of teammate to go out of her way to build chemistry, and let's be real, her lack of defensive effort and inconsistency didn't help either. That's why Indiana moved on. They shipped her out and brought in Cunningham instead, and make no mistake, this trade wasn't just about basketball. The Fever didn't just add a sharpshooter and a tough defender in Cunningham. They added a teammate who actually believes in what they're building, someone who respects Clark, someone who understands the vision of this team and is all in on making it happen. And that's exactly what Indiana needed, because let's be honest, Clark wasn't fully supported in a rookie season. She wasn't just competing against WNBA defenders. She was dealing with teammates who weren't fully on board with her leading this team. That's over now. With Cunningham in the mix, the Fever now have a player who will go to war for Clark, someone who isn't afraid to speak the truth, bring toughness to the court, and set the tone for a winning culture. And that's why this season is going to be different. For the first time since Clark entered the WNBA, she'll have a teammate who fully embraces her role as the face of the franchise. Someone who doesn't just tolerate her success, but celebrates it. And that changes everything. Because when you start building a team that actually believes in your star player, you start winning. You create chemistry, trust, and accountability. And that's exactly what's happening in Indiana right now. The Fever aren't just stacking talent, they're building a roster that makes sense together. They're surrounding Clark with players who want to be there. Players who respect her, players who understand the massive opportunity in front of them. And Cunningham is leading that charge. While some WNBA players are still giving Clark the side eye, waiting for her to fail, Cunningham is stepping up and saying, no, she's great, and we should all recognize that. That's what leadership looks like, and that's why this season is going to be different. For the first time, Clark won't have to deal with teammates who don't want to see her succeed. She won't have to navigate locker room drama. She won't have to fight through negativity from her own squad. Instead, she'll have teammates like Cunningham, who are ready to win with her. And when you combine that kind of chemistry with Clark's talent, the rest of the WNBA better be ready. Because the Fever aren't just trying to make the playoffs anymore, they're trying to win it all. And with the right players, the right mindset, and the right leadership, they just might do it. Sophie Cunningham just sent a loud and clear message. She's got Caitlin Clark's back. And she's not afraid to call out the jealousy surrounding her success. While some WNBA players are bitter about Clark's impact, Cunningham sees the bigger picture. She knows Clark is great for the league, and she's ready to embrace this new era of women's basketball. But what do you think? Do you respect Sophie for standing up for Clark? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you're excited for the Fever's future, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates. Click on the next video, and we'll see you there.